Hello, my name is Carolina Torres Rios.
Hi, I am Reiko Chua,
We're going to talk about the exponential functions.
and we're from Campus Garza Laguera.
Hello, our names are Crista Fernandez Taja
and Mariana Lozano Garza, and we are from Campus Santa Catarina.
My name is Maria Gilzada. My student ID is A01720930, and I'm from Campus Santa Catarina.
This project consists in two parts. In the first part, we explain the exponential functions and how to graph it, and in the second part, we explain the nuclear disaster in Chernobyl and some examples of the exponential increase and decrease that we see in day-to-day. In the graphics, when there is no negatives, there are no reflections, so it increases. Then when there is a negative on the x in the exponent, there's a reflection in y, and then it decreases. When there's a reflection in x, it's when the negative is here and it decreases. And the reflection in x and y in both, it's when the negative is here and the exponent, and it increases. One example of the exponential functions is y equals -5 elevated to 2 minus 6x plus 2. The 2 indicates the asymptote, and we mark it here in the graph in the 2. This term indicates the characteristic point, and we equal it to 0, and then we simplify it and gives us this. So we write 1/3, and it is here in the graph. Then always the characteristic point in the J indicates if it's one up or one down. So because it has a negative here and here, it indicates that is down. And the arrow is going to face this way. Now we see that the characteristic point is in 1/3, 1. The dominion is from minus infinity to infinity. Then the range is from minus infinity and to 2. And the concave is facing down, and it is increasing the arrow.
The use of nuclear energy can have different implications and consequences, such as economical because of the cost this needs, political in case of using it against our nations causing conflicts, and biological and environmental because of all the chemicals released and the radiation that is left. We consider it is clean energy because it does not emit any pollution to the environment to be created or used. We are aware that there is a nuclear energy plant in Mexico called Laguna Verde Nuclear Power Station. It is located in the Gulf of Mexico near to Alto Lucero, Veracruz. We believe it is safe, since security in these places is always updating. Also, being one of the most dangerous energies, make them have high security protocols to stand. We agree that there is a nuclear energy plant in our country, because although it can be dangerous, it is helpful to our economy, our technology, and foreign relationships with other countries.
It hasn't been possible to contain the nuclear energy and substances generated by the nuclear reactors because it is said that the worst case of radioactive contamination was the Chernobyl nuclear power plant explosion. It is said that there were around 7 tons of radioactive materials released in our atmosphere, with a lot of harmful gases and dangerous radioactive energy. There were about 400 times more radioactive materials released than Hiroshima bomb. This is why it hasn't been possible to get completely rid of all radioactive materials and substances since 1986. It has been 30 years since the accident took place, and we still don't have an exact conclusion on when will the nuclear energy and substances will completely disappear. Radiation levels can change daily. This is because of many different factors, for example, wind speed. If you measure the radiation, it can vary the level within minutes because the pockets of radiation move around. It can also vary in levels from one place to another by a few meters. There is an estimate that it will be completely clean and safe in around 1,000 years. Once the explosion happened, there wasn't any way to stop the radiation to spread to other places. The explosion made severe damages to our atmosphere, and its dangerous radioactive materials, once released, couldn't be stopped from spreading to other places. Fortunately, it didn't reach Mexico, but it reached other nearby countries in Asia and Europe.
Nuclear energy is so dangerous because meltdowns can cause enormous amounts of radiation to spread to the communities around and people can get affected. There is no safe place for long term storage of radioactive waste anywhere in the world. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986 could have been prevented because the process of how the plant worked had to be understood well first before controlling it. It is said that the crew that was testing the plant had little experience and weren't working in a professional and cautious way. There were many consequences in the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Some of them were that the resulting steam explosion and fires released at least 5% of the radioactive reactor core into the atmosphere and downwind. The trees in the woodlands surrounding the plant were killed by high levels of radiation. This region became to be known as the Red Forest because the dead trees turned a bright ginger color. Also, many people got sick because of the radiation. Because of that, people had to find other places to live. There was a lot of radiation in Chernobyl and they could not stay there. It led to major changes in safety culture and industry cooperation, particularly between East and West before the end of the Soviet Union. Large quantities of radioactive substances were released into the air for about 10 days. This caused serious social and economic disruption for large populations in Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine.
A nuclear weapon contains combinations of heat, shock waves, which are faster than the speed of sound, and radiation. This combination has the potential to kill and injure huge numbers of people, destroy homes, buildings, infrastructure, and generate serious consequences for the environment. In the case of a large-scale nuclear war, involving almost all regions of the planet, the most likely scenarios would be that the environmental consequences could lead to a massive extinction of the human being on the planet. In the case of a smaller nuclear war of less destruction, it could have a radioactive contamination and consequences in climate globally. I think this ideal of the countries included in nuclear weapons is a ridiculous way to end the peace we have left in the world. A solution is hard to find, but I think that these countries should come to an agreement that could please everyone and end this world tension.
And in the two real cases that we find out that use exponential growth, the first one is about Chile, that in their country solar energy generates 10% of the country's electricity. And here we can see that Chile went from 11 megawatts in 2013 to 800 in 2015. This means that it grew exponentially. And in the second case, we can apply exponential growth in the populations. Like this in summary is that the population grows exponentially every day. Even though they are deaths, there are more birds than deaths. So it grows exponentially every day.
We feel that working in a real case of exponential function helped us understand it better. It was a challenge to make this project, but at the end everyone contributed with her part and it was a success. The thing that we like the most is the new experience of making teams with other campus. To see the different ideas there are.